Okay. Oh, hey, puppy. Oh, other puppy. Anyway, wow, I'm really glad my acne doesn't show up that bad in this one. Okay, so I am Jackie, and I'm here to talk about life as a single mom. Here's some chickens. Look at all them chickens. And I just wanted to say how I went from a 3.0 student to a 4.0 student as a single mom. I gotta say, okay, that's with one exception, which was public speaking online. And it was because the due date for my final speech was like one day, and I didn't realize it was at 2 a.m. that day. And so I turned it in late, and I ended up with a C in that class. But everything else has been A's, like anatomy, microbiology. And now I'm in nursing school, and it's my first semester. But so far, oh man, I don't think I can walk and do this. But so far, the average grades, when they post them, it'll say like a little scale. And a couple of them I've gotten like on the higher end, so I would say that's a sign that things are going okay so far. But anyway, I just wanted to give some tips that I've learned, because I know I used to have kind of a lot of trouble with school. I did it because I just wanted something to be proud of, and more than like study tips and stuff, because I used to watch all kinds of videos about that. I just want to go about the psychology of test taking and some ants, and how I've learned how to learn. I really hope my neighbors can't hear me. They're kind of far away, but I'm nervous. I've learned how to learn, because I used to be a really bad test taker, really bad anxiety. I wouldn't like participate in things because I had to go home and I'd study and work really hard and then get really mediocre grades. So, the things I've learned in the last couple years, because I've been a single mom for a year and a half, but I had to drop out of my big university 2 years ago when I found out I was pregnant. You know, pregnant for 9 months. And I was doing online class at that point, and this is my first time as a full-time in-person student. I'm sorry, I'm so out of breath. It's been really bad like that lately. Anyway, I used to not participate in things. Now, of course, like if I'm not in class or if I'm not doing schoolwork, I'm with my baby, who's now a toddler. The first thing I think is to not freak out, not put your worth in your grades. When you go and you're about to take that test, beforehand, I walk down the hall and I come back up and I get my water and I take a little snack and I just take a deep breath and I say, God's will be done, because I think that knowledge is divinely given. I think if you pray for the spirits to fill you up, you can find a lot of peace, and He has just really blessed me with seeing myself through His eyes instead of my own. And so now tests aren't this really freaky thing, and I don't feel like I'm worthless if I do bad on them anymore. And I haven't done bad on them. Maybe for that reason, I don't treat them as an idol. I don't treat grades like an idol anymore. I hope I didn't cover up the speaker. And when I'm not in class, I come home and I don't think, I gotta work, and freak out. I come home and I do my best. Some days I don't always do this, but most days I come home and I put it all away, and I'm a mom. And I put all my energy into just enjoying time with my baby. I walk around in nature. And I have a life outside of school instead of letting everything revolve around that stress of studying. And then it was a muscle to work out, but when I rock him to sleep, I don't think, oh, he's gotta go to sleep right now so I can go and do my schoolwork. I just think, this is really nice right now. I'm rocking and I'm singing my baby to sleep, and then after that, I'm gonna do as much work as I can, and then I'm gonna go to sleep. I also used to make the mistake of, see, if I was an editor, I would like have little numbers and list it out, and I would have organized it, but I didn't, so sorry, you just have to listen to this monologue, soliloquy. Hi, kitty. Anyway, so after I put him to sleep, I take a minute to take a deep breath. I might watch something for a minute, or my boyfriend's usually over. I guess I'm technically not a single mom right now, but I mean, he's just a boyfriend and I live with my parents, so I think this still counts. Anyway, I have a minute, and then I'll go do my homework, and when I feel that I'm really tired, I don't try and work through the night to get everything done. I don't have this really strict schedule for myself. I don't plan out every hour, although a lot of moms that work that I've emailed and asked about advice, they say you have to plan out every hour and be really strict. But I just know what works best with me is to do what I can with the time I have, and then I know that I need sleep. Otherwise, the next day is worthless. So I go to bed, and I try to go to bed at 10 or 11. And then the next day I wake up, and I do better waking up early most days, unless I'm just really sleep deprived. But most days I'll wake up at like 5 or 6, and I'll either read my book a little bit, like my textbook, not a novel. I read a textbook a little bit. I might do a few assignments. We've kind of had tests or assessments every week. And if we have a nursing assessment, then I'll just pantomime it and talk about it in my head. And then hopefully someone is there early beforehand, like me, and I'll go over it with them at least once. And I just try and do what I can in the mornings. And to be honest, again, I'm not strict about it. And there's a lot of work, and oftentimes I wonder how it gets done, and it's just a divine intervention. He's just allowed me to be successful, so sorry, my dogs are fighting. I do my best I don't do my best, like I pretty much every day make sure I pray and read a chapter a day, because as soon as I get out of line with the purpose of it all, as soon as I start to forget why I'm doing it, which is for God's glory, and for His honor, and remembering where my ability comes from, that's when things get out of line and get whack. And that's when I lose my abilities, and that's when I get behind and I really start to freak out, because emotionally my peace kind of... Guys, can you stop? Stop. Stop. Okay. That's when I get anxious, and if I'm anxious, then I get overexhausted and my brain gets full of cortisol. And when that happens, I can't think, I can't memorize. When I take my test questions, they look extra confusing. And so I just have to be sure that I'm grounded in peace. And sometimes when, like, because life continues to happen, whether or not you're in school, and whether or not you schedule life to happen. And some really hard things have still been going on in my life. But God has allowed me to be successful through it, because just stay grounded. I'll fast, and I'll pray extra. I'll turn off all my apps like Instagram and that kind of thing. I'll stay off YouTube. I'll only listen to worship songs, and I'll take extra time to be out here remembering that no matter what's going on, the trees and the winds remember to worship, and they remember to stay focused on what actually matters. And as long as I keep my head out of the earth and up in the heavens, which is the opposite of that saying, that idiom, then I've managed to keep, I don't know how to describe it, it keeps these realms of life open in the right way. Even as more chaos is happening in my life, as long as I'm focusing on eternity, it's also enabled me to focus on my schoolwork, and it saturates my brain more. So yeah, I've read a couple studies, and I've looked at a couple TED Talks, of course, about grit, endurance, and where the most intelligent kids come from, and they all point towards peace and nature and not being so strict, and it really puts an emphasis on whimsy. And so whatever you find your joy in, I think you really need to focus on that, and you need to make that life, and then school needs to be secondary. I think that would be my biggest tip, is that school isn't this primary thing for me anymore like it used to be. I don't know if it is a common thing that school just is life to people because you're constantly assessed and it's really stressful. But once it became this secondary action and secondary part of my life, or tertiary almost, really, it's kind of on the back burner in a weird way. I just do it when I have free time, and I do it when it's not okay, that's not beautiful, when it's not a beautiful day like that. And that's where I find my ability to think. And then my studying techniques are, I just do homework. I don't sit and take 20 pages of notes on the reading. In fact, I don't do the reading at all. Not really. I'll read my textbook a little bit on sections that I find particularly interesting, but all those like 50-page reading assignments they say to really focus on and take 50 pages of notes, I don't do that. I listen in class really well, and then like you think the professors make the exams, so they're going to talk about what they think is important and what's on the forefront of their minds, and they're not going to go flip through the book like crazy and look at all these little minuscule details and then make a test question about it. Like, they have a life too. They're gonna make test questions based off of what they already know and what they're already talking about. And I kind of feel like some of my classmates have had a lot of trouble because they've been doing what they've been told to do, which is take a lot of notes and do a lot of reading. And it's like whenever I quiz with them, they start quizzing about all these really random topics, which is really good to know about, but I know in my head that the professors are not going to ask about that, and they don't. So, yeah, just pay attention in class. That's my biggest thing. I used to think in undergrad, before I was a mom, oh, I teach myself way better because I used to be homeschooled, so I did teach myself well, and I knew a lot of things, but they weren't the things that the professors were teaching about. Hey, puppy. And so I think what if you ask a PhD student, the biggest revelation that they've had is that you're never gonna know everything. The more and more you study a minute subject, the more you realize how little you know. So with that kind of concept in mind, you can study the book and learn all kinds of things about that subject, about microbiology. But if you don't focus on what the professor's actually teaching and just listen to her in class, you're not going to know what she's actually going to ask about. Yellow jacket. So it's great that you know all these things about microbiology, but do you know what they're going to ask about? No. So you just have to listen. Listen in class. Pay as good attention as you can. And I really think that's where you're going to find most success. So, my biggest things are find peace, fast and pray, worship God, spend time outside. Bill Gates does. He takes a walk in the woods every single day, supposedly. And he drinks way more caffeine than I would be able to and still be successful. I would just freak out and die if I drank as much coffee and Diet Coke as he does. Anyway, spend as much time outside. Make school tertiary. I hope you didn't see it. We're selling that car, so even if you see the plate, it doesn't matter. Make school tertiary. Do what you love. Make sure you find whimsy. Rest your brain. Sleep. I would say nutrition's a big part, but I've been eating worse than I've ever eaten in my life, and my brain's been okay. Sleep. Know your body. If you're pushing it too far, just stop. Stop for a minute. Hair in my mouth. What else did I say? I'm trying to give a summary, so if you just want to skip to the end and not watch me walk around the woods out of breath, you don't have to. I need to write this stuff down. Again, I got a C in public speaking. For the record, I had a B before I didn't turn in that last assignment. Now I'm panicking. I'm going against my advice about keeping your peace. Tertiary, peace, fast and pray, worship, read your Bible every day, pay attention in class. Oh my gosh. Do your homework. Do your homework the best that you can. And just remember to love the people around you. So, my mom's coming home with my baby, so they went to Sunday school, Bible study while I was trying to do an assignment. So, bye!